Your Excellency, Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, dear representatives of foreign missions in Georgia, dear members of Georgian Parliament, members of civil society, and all the participants of the round table. Let me welcome you on this very important event which is going on here in Tbilisi, in Georgia, and which is devoted to the important event for our country when chairpersons of the Foreign Affairs Committees of Nordic and Baltic parliaments are in Georgia. This is a great opportunity for us Georgians to have discussion about the most pressing issues for our country, and not only for our country, when the world is concerned about the security more than ever in recent years. When the members of Georgian Parliament and representatives of Nordic and Baltic parliaments started planning this event about a year ago, nobody could predict that the timing would be so timely. And our gathering would be in the situation when we are going to discuss not only theoretical issues, not only issues which might happen, and how to deal with them, how to cooperate, how to strengthen each other, how to make sure that the Europe and the globe is more peaceful, more secured. But rather, we are dealing with very concrete issues, concrete threats to all of our nations. Therefore, it is impossible to avoid the main issue which occupies our minds, the occupation of the territory of sovereign Ukraine by our neighbor, Russia, which marked the gross violation of international law and international order, which was not predictable probably for many of us in the 21st century. The topic of this roundtable is mainly Georgia and its integration to European Union, to NATO, and the process of becoming closer to the political and cultural space to which we belonged during all our history. Unfortunately, the case of Georgia became a good case study for the problems we are facing now in Ukraine. And unfortunately, the war in August 2008 already sent alarming signals to the democratic world that meant that more specific measures, more specific policies had to be designed, not only for dealing with the problems which that war produced, the occupation of Georgian territories, but for preventing further problems in this direction. Unfortunately, we all need to recognize the reality that the democratic world failed to be successful in this unfair competition with the authoritarian regime which does not recognize the basic principles of international law and international morale. But probably now, having again, unfortunately, these two case studies, how Georgian territories were occupied and how Ukrainian territories are occupied, will give us enough lessons in order to design a better world in the future. And that's our desire of Georgia, to become NATO member, to be next to you, of most of you who are here now representing the nations who are NATO members, for ensuring not only security of Georgia, but for contributing for peaceful and secured world. And that's what we are doing, even before we become the NATO member. We are participating in NATO-led operations in Afghanistan, and we are the nation which contributes most among the non-NATO member states. We are the country who adopted decision to send our soldiers to Central African Republic to participate in UN and EU-led operations there. Of course, these decisions are very painful, and we are facing the questions from our people. Yes, we are doing that, but we expect more productive, effective actions from the world community as well when the security of Georgia is concerned. But we understand that without such sacrifice, without such sharing of responsibility, we cannot achieve the goals which unites us. This roundtable, this occasion, is another opportunity for us, representatives of the Parliament of Georgia, and on that issue, the representatives of majority and minority, ruling coalition and the opposition party, former government party members, are united. As I was telling some of you during private conversations, the only thing we are debating on this matter is who is more pro-European and pro-NATO, not the otherwise. Why? Because this is the reflection of the decision of Georgian people, who expressed their willingness to be integral part of European Union, wider Europe, and NATO in many occasions, including referendum which we had in this country, including endless polling which are conducted every second month or so. And it demonstrates that around 80% of Georgians have this very firm decision. Why is that? Because this is not political choice. This is much more. This is the part of our national identity. And this is our destiny. And therefore, we are ready to share all the difficulties and all the risks which Georgia is facing and will face as the process continues. Because not everybody in the current world agree that the free nations have the right to make a free choice about their future. In this regard, it is so important to have representatives of Nordic and Baltic parliaments, the people who are most engaged and most aware of the situation in the world, and people who bring to Georgia their own experience on the very similar issues. How small nations without many rockets can resist, can stay together, show the solidarity, cooperation, and with that ensure that the small nations, small countries are prosperous and the people who are living there are secured as well. During this roundtable, we expect very frank exchange of opinions, because we are among our friends, because we found so great friends who are northern neighbors of our northern neighbor. I wish we had now the other topics to discuss, and foreign relations for us meant something different, how we enhance business interactions, how to enhance cultural cooperation between our countries and between our regions. And the other things which are much more positive, the things for which we are elected on our parliaments. But unfortunately for Georgia, the priorities are something different. The priorities are existential priorities. Are we able to continue our journey as a free nation, or the next target of the aggressor will be our country and our territory? We believe that the government of Georgia, Parliament of Georgia, and Georgian people will be wise enough not to allow anybody, not to give even small reason for acting, but we also believe that our security depends on your decisions. And we are watching very carefully, with huge interest, what's going on in European Union countries, how solidar these countries are, what are the measures to make things better. And we are ready to contribute in this as well, with the limitations we obviously have because of our situation. I hope today, at the end of the day, the participants from Georgian side will be more hopeful about our country, because they will be able to listen your comments, your recommendations, your advices. And also, I believe this is the first such meeting in Tbilisi, in Georgia, but not the last. Because as time goes, we will be attached to each other more and more. This is our decision, and we are so glad to see that this is your decision as well. Thank you. Now I want to ask for welcoming speech to the Speaker of the Seimas of Latvia, Madame Aboltina.
Dear David, dear colleagues, fellow parliamentarians, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to open today these roundtable discussions with my colleague and friend David Asupashvili. During these troubled times, this meeting has become as a symbolic sign that we can never take freedom and democracy for granted. Especially bearing in mind the history of Georgia, it is essential that Nordic and Baltic countries can gather here today for this meeting to discuss how Georgia is moving closer to Europe and the traditional values that it constitutes. Latvia has always supported Georgia's aspiration towards membership in NATO and closer integration with the European Union. Georgia has been a success story within the Eastern Partnership Initiative of the European Union. Latvia is prepared to assist Georgia in the needed democratic reforms, which we have gained during the integration into Euro-Atlantic structures. We can also assist in Georgia's strengthening good governance of state and political institutions, as well as developing structures to facilitate economic growth and stability. As a member state of the EU and NATO, we have always supported Georgia, and I can assure that this support will continue. Solidarity of friends is very important, especially in critical situations. I can speak from the Baltic experience. 25 years ago, Estonians, Latvians and Lithuanians formed a human chain spreading 600 kilometers through the Baltic countries. The people stood hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, and heart to heart for freedom. But we also always knew the Nordic countries were right there beside us. The Nordic countries were the first to renew diplomatic ties to the Baltic countries, and in many respects our Nordic partners were our godparents and mentors. The Nordic countries were there for us when needed, and now we all together must show the same determination and support to help those from the Eastern Partnership countries, especially and moreover those who want to learn from our experience. It's my firm conviction that now the Nordic Baltic countries must show even greater unity and solidarity for European values. That is also why I, together with my colleagues, the Nordic and Baltic speakers, will visit Moldova in May. The European Union should maintain focus on Eastern Partnership and be proactive as regards to the association agreement with Georgia. We support the signing of this agreement at the earliest possible moment. Recent political events showed that we cannot be indifferent to what is occurring around us. The aggression of the Russian Federation towards Ukraine was unthinkable only a short time ago. The decision by the Russian Federation to sanction the use of armed forces in the territory of Ukraine is a gross violence of international law and direct interference in the domestic affairs of a sovereign state. Except for maybe our Georgian colleagues, many lived in false hope, naivety, and just plain wishful thinking. We thought the Cold War was over and Russia is developing democracy. Europe does not need a new Cold War. We do not need to build walls, but we also cannot be careless. I am often asked, am I scared? No. Am I afraid? No. Am I concerned? Deeply. Russia clearly demonstrated geopolitical interests in the region. It's a real test case for European foreign and security policy. Russia has and is undermined the fundamental principles of the international security system. I would like to remind that under the 1994 Budapest Memorandum of Security Assurances in connection with Ukraine's accession to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, Russia, the United States and the United Kingdom guarantee independence, integrity and security to Ukraine. It's unacceptable to deter from international law. Dear colleagues parliamentarians, I believe today's roundtable discussion is a place to raise one more threat to democracy, and that is the informational, public relations and propaganda war based on confrontation which is being implemented, conducted and executed by the Russian Federation. Fundamental freedoms, including the freedom of expression, are also being suppressed. We see the regular firing of professors, journalists, or the substantial internet censorship. We see a deep regression of access to information, of second opinion, and a return to our principles, like in Soviet Union, of one view can only be the right one. I would have liked to have spoken more peaceful thoughts, but I had to express my concerns, and the truth must be spoken. I wish you a fruitful discussions, and I hope you will continue this good practice of Nordic-Baltic cooperation with our common partners. Thank you.